Right, welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horror.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. We are covering Bachelorette Season 18, Episode 2. And like someone famous said, Chris, it's good to be back. But is it? What do you reckon to this episode?
Fucking hell, Dave. Should we just not? Why are they recycling the same conversations? We get the little breadcrumb about Joe and Michelle last episode. They even allude to, have I spoke to you before? And I'm like, oh, and even that last week's episode, I was like, fuck off. And now we've got Dale and Claire 2.0 going on, Dave. I mean, look, I said last week, for me, Joe ticks all Michelle's boxes. He loves basketball. He's in Minnesota. They've got the same common interest, that they really have got a good chemistry together. It's over, Dave. I keep thinking of that gif of the basketball player. What's his name? And when he says it's over on the basketball court. That's a famous one.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the old Bill Paxton from Aliens. Game over, man. Game over.
I've never seen Aliens, Dave, have I?
It's on our fucking VHS podcast fucking theme tune, you bellend. Every fucking episode.
Doesn't mean I'm oh yeah, game over, man. Game over. Oh yeah, that's it.
Every fucking episode for like 100 whatever episodes.
Yeah, but you put that together. I'm blaming it on you. I did the comics in motion intro.
But Chris, last week it was like, didn't I? Do I know you? Have I slipped into your DMs? And now it's like she's got a full fucking history on him. Oh yeah, in 2011 he was player of the season. It's like hang about.
Yeah, it's bollocks. That these two have seen each other. They've got great chemistry. I'm not denying that, but I'm just like, we saw this on Claire and Tayshia's season, didn't we? It's exactly the same things happening. What happened with Claire and Dale? They slipped into each other's DMs. I'm not saying them. I think they've been speaking quite regular, Dave. It was all fucking fake. But I'm going in on this show completely because I'm watching this again, and I'm like, fucking the people on it, like the way them fucking guys are like, the nonsense about. One of the guys went, it's a once in a million chance to grab a once in a billion girl. And I'm like, you're all dickheads. Anybody in real life does not just go on a show and immediately decides they're going to fall in love with that girl or that guy. And it's the falseness for me. It's the falseness of the whole show that gets my back up. I love watching it because it's how fucking desperate everybody is. That little bit of fame. And some of the one-liners tonight, I was like, fucking hell. They were awful. It was fucking, not just toe curling, Dave. I literally wanted to fucking put my fingers down a chalkboard myself to do it. It was terrible. So anyway, I've got more rants, Dave, and I've gone in hot.
I think we get desensitized. When we're in the middle of a Bachelor or Bachelorette season, we kind of get desensitized to the nonsense, the charade of it all. But I think it's when we come out of another reality TV show and then we come back to this franchise and it's the same. Everything's the same. And it's so false. And I agree. How many people, Chris, are like, oh yeah, I could really see myself falling in love with her. And I'm like, it's week 2. It's episode 2. Are you fucking shitting me?
I know.
It is so over the top. And yeah, it just felt so formulaic. I kind of came into this season thinking, they might have freshened things up a bit. But no, it's just like they're fucking wringing they're squeezing the last few pips out of it, it feels to me.
Yeah, and I genuinely was watching it thinking, why don't they just forget it being a reality show and just call it a 13-part mockumentary, a fake fucking documentary? Because we know whoever Michelle gets with, other than Joe at the moment, I can't see anybody else really has ignited a fire with her, that it's going to be, well, we made a good go of it, but can you please respect our privacy? 3-6 months after the show, the same bullshit we've just seen with Blake and Katie. Unbelievable, Dave. Unbelievable. And I'm still sat here talking about it. It's just, Does anybody out there?
Love it.
We love it. We love it. And we love to hate it. But does anybody out there even buy into any of these nonsense storylines? Because I don't. The guys are fucking pathetic, Dave. They're pathetic, the lot of them. It's ridiculous, honestly. I thought there was some desperados on Labour of Love, but this is on a different level this season. These guys, we slagged off that guy last week who had the playbook. At least he had a playbook. These guys, some of the fucking lines are like something you'd write when you're 11 years old. Roses are red, violets are blue. It's like, oh, come on, you idiots.
Well, let's stick on Joe for a bit, because you think it's all wrapped up. I don't think it is. I think he's definitely going to, the last episode. He's going to go far, isn't he? And again, I think we've already seen the kind of little white lies, I guess you'd call them, the kind of, oh, didn't I slip into your DMs? As if it's like, oh, maybe I've just forgotten about it. Yet she knows his whole fucking basketball in history. So there's definitely a chemistry there. And like when he's on the losing team for the basketball game, it's like, we're going to select an MVP as well. It was so obvious that he was going to get into it. But I think the whole ghosting thing. So she said that, they messaged a couple of times and then he completely ghosted her. I said last week that I thought his explanation for that was really weak. I thought it was like, oh, I'm in a different place in my life and blah, blah, blah. I just think that is going to become an issue. There's clearly the chemistry. There's clearly an attraction there. When they're kind of going one-on-one in the basketball, I must admit, I was thinking to myself, wouldn't that be cool? Like, if you get back into real life and, you come back from work or whatever you're doing, and then you just go out the back, you play a bit of basketball together and stuff. It looked to me homely. So I was drinking the Kool-Aid, to be honest, right there, Chris. But yeah, I feel to my core that the whole ghosting behavior, there's something off there. And I think it's going to become a bigger problem as we get further through the episodes.
Yeah, and look, you could be right, Dave. I'm not going to say the A word just yet and do my Chris 180 special, but I want to talk about Dave. Peter. Peter's the New York pizza guy. We get the kids come and they're grilling the other lads. They're doing this competition at the classroom, and they're doing this. Well, they're doing the chair game first, aren't they? Musical chairs. And all the lads are going, I don't like Peter. So at first I'm thinking, well, he's just playing a game. He's a little bit competitive. We've all got friends, Dave, who are competitive. I didn't see much with it. And then as it come towards the end, I was like, holy shit, he wants to win. And then when he went in the classroom, he did come forward. I thought he was a dickhead. And I did like that lad put up the narcissist and he put Peter. I mean, that looked like a complete setup. I must admit, it looked like it was a setup from the start. He was going to do that. Why would ask narcissist and then he says Peter. However, Peter, when he was being interviewed on the VT, went from 1 to a fucking 100 that, didn't he? He went fucking nuclear. And the argument was ridiculous. I don't believe that Michelle could hear them two arguing. I think that was overdubbed. I had it on my headphones and it sounded too produced the way them guys were talking. I don't think she could hear them, Dave. I really don't.
I think that's a great point. Because when they were arguing, it sounded so loud. But Michelle, and I can't remember who she was speaking to, but they didn't acknowledge it at all. They didn't react to it. If you hear something, your instant reaction is to kind of have a bit of a look around. Where the hell's that coming from? They didn't seem to acknowledge it was there at all. So yeah, that's a great point. Didn't even think of that, but I can buy that 100%. It was all overdubbed.
Yeah, and I think as well, like, the guys shot the shot, sort of thing, or shoot the shot, whatever you call it. And some of the lines were terrible. There was. I mean, one of the worst ones was that guy. They were all kicking off about Joe, very much in the Dale mold again. He get too much time with it. He won the thing on the basketball. They all come back dead dejected. And it was when there was that one guy with the glasses on who's not really featured, and he spun her around and went, "Oh, I can't even do the waltz or something," and just waiting for his kiss. And I could see Michelle was genuinely uncomfortable, but was thinking, "I've got to kiss this guy now," because she'd kissed about half a dozen guys at this point in this episode. But that point, I did feel sorry for her. It did feel as if in my opinion, the producers were saying to her, "Well, you're going to have to kiss him because he's layup and everything. He'd had no dialogue from what we'd seen." And I felt this episode had so many little dates, little conversations. It had more than I've seen, if I can remember correctly, from the other series in The Bachelor, because literally every other scene she was swapping saliva with someone else.
Again, Chris, it's The Bachelorette. It's expected.
I know it is.
What we keep getting told.
There's a lot of cold sores, Dave. Anyway, I know.
I can't help but think about the germs being exchanged here. And do you reckon those kids were in the bubble, by the way, Chris?
Oh my God.
Been isolating for a week before they come in. Joe. The whole thing about Joe was interesting because I felt like the producers are almost playing up the controversy around Claire and Dale. It seems to be with a few of these things here, they're almost trying to counter. So it's like, oh, look, we're going to explicitly talk openly about this idea of them talking on the outside before. And so, it's all going to get squashed or what have you, or create a bit of drama. And I think, so it was Jamie, and I think we should probably come back to that date at some point with Jamie. But he's definitely watched the last season, hasn't he? Because what was that guy's name, the motivational speaker?
I can see his face now because he
was doing the old shadow boxing, wasn't he? Oh,
David Brent.
And this guy Jamie has done exactly the same thing. He's gone and thrown everyone else under the bus. What a brilliant fucking move, because he's already got a rose, so he just nuked the cocktail party and it goes straight to the rose ceremony. What a fucking brilliant play. And when everyone's like, well, who could have said this? And I can't help but think, well, surely you always know who's going in and talking to Michelle. If you're just in the room there, you're kind of aware of what's going around you. So, they didn't question anyone. And Jamie's just there saying absolutely nothing. Whereas the guy who's the motivational speaker, who's like, hey, that's on me. He had a target on his back from there. So again, this guy is quite calculating, I think. I think he knew exactly what he was doing there, and he wasn't going to own up to it. So, like I say, he stopped other people getting time with Michelle. He already had his rose. Fucking well played, sir.
Yeah, look, and that's what makes you laugh about all these hypocrites on this show, Dave, because they were slagging off that guy last week for having his little playbook, and he was tripping over himself, obviously bullshitting. He was like, my friend's wife's done it. But you just said you've done it. And we know all that. Everyone was outraged. But then when everyone else does it or they do it themselves, the hypocrisy it's like, oh, hang on a minute. We're allowed double standards as long as it doesn't affect me. It's fine. And that's all you see all the time on this show. Everyone's got a game plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I said it last week that guy was a plant. And the more I kind of thought about it through the week, I thought, yeah, it's absolutely a plant. You don't get Tasha and Caitlin doing fucking spot checks on everyone's rooms and then the producers are like, oh, we're going to show this footage. Because it's not just them, is it? Wandering into people's rooms, having a bit of a mooch around. It's the whole fucking camera crew and everything. Oh, let's get the lighting sorted. So, yeah, again, that's just an absolute plant to try and call people out for, coming on the show for the wrong reasons. But every fucker is there for the wrong reasons. Out of any of these guys, Chris, because usually there's one or two where you think, oh yeah, they seem they're playing a very good game where it looks like they are, but I can't think of any of this lot who seem to be there for the right reasons.
No, and I think you're right. Look, we do a podcast that we both enjoy. We it's exposure in it. We've got on other shows, as and you're trying to be a guest with people. and things like that, because you know that it improves your brand, doesn't it? It improves your reach to people. There's nothing wrong with that. It's about networking. I just love the way that they hide it on this, Dave. They hide like what they're doing, and it's all about the love.
It gets all crucible, doesn't it? If someone like has a bit of a misstep, and it's like the guy in Katie's season where it's like, yeah, I did as a passing thought, think about what it'd be like to be like the Bachelor, and the whole room of guys is like, oh, well, I never. That is a horrendous thing to think. How could you ever think about that? No fucker who was in that room possibly did not think about that.
No,
and it's just, you're right. It's the hypocrisy of them all.
And what's interesting there, when you watch it, and we've said this on other reality shows, like you see, especially on Love Island, you see in the last week, the dates, you can see who gets the most money spent on them. And you can see with this, like Joe's date, the basketball thing, I know there's other guys there, but it was all centered around that. Other guys just get the little face-to-face chat with her. And there was that one guy who was dropping all these like dead corny lines into her. And she's like, oh my God, that is terrible. And anyway,
this Brandon.
Brandon, and he went, and that's just me being me. And I'm like, oh mate, please shut up. It was terrible. It was absolutely terrible.
You know what that reminded me of? American Pie, where what's the guy's name? The guy who's playing lacrosse, not Stifler, but he's another lacrosse player. Ends up doing the singing.
Yeah, he's one of the main guys, isn't he? Oh,
yeah, but like at the beginning, he's with a college girl, and he's like, "Suck me, beautiful." Like he's coming out with these lines that he thinks are the right thing to say, and I just felt like Brandon was just like putting out all these corny lines because he's seen them on a show or something.
Oz.
But Oz, that's the one. Yeah. So yeah,
research.
Brandon is Oz there. He's just throwing out these shit lines. But you know what? Seemed to work. I wasn't convinced it was going to, but he did get a kiss there.
He did, and also Dave, like going to war, like obviously there was basically the controversy of Dale 2.0 Joe was there to see. It was all about that, wasn't it? It was all about like the roses and everything, and I felt the problem I have with The Bachelor, because obviously it's on for 2 hours. It's an hour and 25 if you take the adverts out. It always feels like you're watching 2 episodes compressed into one. And I still say there is no need for it to be so long. I know it's a stalwart and people probably say it's sacrilege, it's Bachelor night or Bachelorette night. It's just too long. There's a load of filler shit you don't need in there. You could condense this show down by getting rid of, say, 10 of the guys, concentrating on 20 people. I mean, it's still a lot, but, weeding out some of the crap at the start, but really telling the story of the other guys. And then going, because what I hate, I must admit, I hate it is Michelle with them like politician-like answers. Oh, today I could see me having a future with this guy. I think I'm falling for her. They all say it. And when The Bachelor, Matt was the same. I think I'm falling for her, because it's that open-ended answer, which if they don't fall for him, they get out of jail. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's really, honestly, Joe looked like the one, because she made all the playing, I felt, Michelle. And she was even calling him over when they did the basketball stuff and all. It was really, I thought it was a really good connection, but it's just them typical answers. And then obviously Michelle gets upset. Tasha's there, it's all the same stuff. And I'm going to get pelters for this day, because people are like, well, why the hell are you watching it? I love watching it because it fucking boils my blood. That's why I watch it. I'm just like, I swear to God, I had it on today. I had it on last night, and I'm there and I'm fucking going, oh, for fuck's sake. But I'm still dedicated to watch it because I love talking about it the next day.
Yeah, and I messaged you, didn't I, last night? And I was like, watching The Bachelorette right now, why the fuck do we do this to ourselves?
I don't know. Honestly,
it is funny. And I've got to say, Chris, I don't think anyone listens to us. If someone listens to our Bachelorette and Bachelor coverage, and they genuinely fall for it, if you like, they genuinely love the show and they're fully bought into it, I don't think they're listening to us anymore.
No,
because we generally reserve both barrels for this franchise, don't we? And we keep going back for more. I mean, the thing that does change, obviously, the actors, and the thing, I thought more than any other episode of this that I've seen, it felt scripted. Just because you're getting the same lines, and I don't think it is actually scripted, but they've all watched, multiple seasons of this stuff now. And so they know, how to diplomatically navigate the fact that, Michelle is probably interested in, let's say, 2 to 5 people out of that group.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Tasha who said, all of you guys are here because Michelle's seen something in you. And it's like, well, no, they just applied to be on a show and she had a limited number of roses. That's why you're here. There is absolutely some filler. That fucking Peter, I mean, he, like you say, he went from 0 to 100. Kind of reminded me a bit of Joe Pesci. Obviously, he's a bit bigger, bit better looking, you might say. But, the whole, fucking Goodfellas thing where it's like, so you think I'm funny? Think I'm funny? Like, haha, funny?
Yeah. Like and he said the shoe shine boy scene, and that's what he says to him. Did he shine my shoe? That guy, yeah.
So I just think there's no way she doesn't see anything with him, but he's good there for a bit of drama. But the other thing that's a bit different between the seasons as well is the theme. It's like, oh, Michelle is really into her basketball, and she's a teacher. So let's make everything fucking teacher and basketball themed then. And, for Katie's season, it was like, let's make everything sexy. Let's make it all a sex positive season. So the theming of the different seasons you get, I think is something that I don't know why it just grates on me a bit. It's like, they want to put someone in a box and then all the games and everything are constructed about this 2-dimensional representation of a real person.
Yeah. And that, you know what? It's such a good analysis of it. It is. It's like you say, it's almost like me and you come to just sort of get it off our chest, don't we? Like we're having a counselling session. It's like me and you just like ranting about it. But again, Dave, I tell you what makes you laugh every episode. And this one especially, you said about it being sort of all over the place and a bit thingy. I still love, my favourite bit is without doubt the fucking last rose, because we had Tasha and Caitlin come over and started explaining, and you see the guys going, holy shit, it's the last rose. And I'm like, you fucking dildos, the lot of you fucking dildos. Also, I will say, Dave, I want one of the guys to actually tell the truth, because you're right. They've all watched the show. They've all watched the fact that they're not allowed to say to whoever the Bachelorette is, or if it was the girls, the Bachelor, they're not allowed to say, look, I'm not really feeling anything with you. I think there's a friendship there, but, do you think, well, something real. It's all that shit in it, but I just want what's best for her. I think there's a connection because they're so scared of telling the truth. That's why that's why I struggle with the lies, because the whole thing is about them actually telling the truth and saying, well, I'm not really feeling it. I think they've only seen it once over the last, we've covered 3 seasons of The Bachelor, Bachelorette. I've seen it once where it's like, I'm not feeling anything. And that guy, remember the one who kicked off that horrible one, that Joseph, who was horrible, wasn't he? He was terrible, wanted to Claire. Even though Claire wasn't a saint either, but he was awful the way he spoke to her. It was terrible. He got his just desserts and he fucked off himself then. He had to actually kick him off, didn't he? But he deserved to go because there's nothing between them. You'd never, there might be another series, so I'd stand corrected because a lot of the people who listen, and I apologise if I'm wrong, they do know the show ins and outs. We don't. But from what I've seen, nobody's telling the truth. It's all one big convoluted lie. And it's almost like playing Cluedo or something. It's like, who's the real person who's done the deed? Who's the one who actually is the night? It's him in the room with the blue shirt on and the candle wick or something. It's
Colonel Mustard with the lead pointing.
That's it, Colonel Mustard. Yeah, Colonel Mustard in the library. It's like Michelle is playing that sort of game. There's a computer game out called Among Us, and you've got to find the imposter. And that's what she's doing. It's like every episode, she has to weed out the imposters until she gets to the one that's actually real. Almost, Dave, and here's a nice segue for the Comics in Motion podcast, Superman 2 at the end when he's in the Fortitude, is it the 40, what's it called? The Fortitude
the Fortress of Solitude.
That's it, Fortitude. That's it. Yeah, that one is Fortitude of Solace, that one as well. It's a new one I've written. That one.
It's a massive Superman fan that you claim to be.
Excuse me, I'm a movie fan. I'm a movie fan. Fortitude of Solace. That's James Bond, Quantum of Solace. I'm a movie fan. I'm not a comic book fan like you. But anyway, do you know what I mean, though? Where there's the 3 or 4 different Christopher Reeves. It's like that. It's like she's got to weed them out. Sorry, it's a terrible reference, that one. But
I don't. Superman 3 is the one where you've got like the Clark and the Superman, isn't it?
No, at the end when General Zod's there and he changes to human, remember, they go after Superman, but there's 3 or 4 Supermans there. Because remember, General Zod thinks that he's a hologram and he puts his arm up. Dave, don't
right, yeah. I used to play this as a kid, is what he said. But even though he grew up in Kansas, but anyway,
didn't have any friends. But there you go.
And we saw you discover the green crystal when you were about 20. So Anyway, Superman 2 digression there. I tell you, the closest person who came to telling the truth, I thought, though, Chris, was Jamie, because he gets the single date rose. And then no sooner has he got it, where he's like, I kind of live this lifestyle. I jet off to a third world country at the drop of a hat kind of thing. So it's all got to be on my terms. I just thought it was like a bit of a weird thing to say so early on, where it's like a bit of an inconvenience for him to go on this date.
Yes. Yeah, that was a bit strange. I did think we were going to get the full sob story, because I'll tell you what, that's one of my issues, Dave. You say about Jamie, you've actually reminded me now something I was got to. Look, no person in this world, no matter what stage of your life, whether you've had a good life before or obviously things happen in the future, but nobody's going to go through life without some tragedy. And some of the stories that were awful. There was the poor lad saying about his mum, she'd committed suicide when he was 24.
That was Jamie.
Was that Jamie? Sorry, Jamie. Right. Sorry. So it was awful what he was saying, but I was watching it thinking, it felt like they've either said to him and the other contestant, look, I've said this before, you've got to tell us the most harrowing story of your life. I mean, we were going on dregs when Joe was like, and I'm not being disrespectful, but Joe was saying my basketball coach died. And it felt dead false to me. Not that he hadn't died. I'm not saying he wouldn't have been upset, but that felt like Joe was just forcing that story too much for me, Dave. I just felt, this is not even real. And I'm not questioning the guys. I'm questioning the producers. Why do we have to have this sort of like sob story? I know it's like X Factor. They do the same thing, and Britain's Got Talent and stuff. But it's just, it gets too much for me. I'm like, it's fucking depressing, to be honest.
Well, again, it's just so formulaic, isn't it? It's like, they've had a single date, they did a bit of rock climbing, they come back, they have the dinner, and it's like, right, here's the sob story. I wonder what it's going to be. Yeah. And so it did sound like a horrible sob story, obviously, as he told it. But the whole thing, the context of the show, it's like, this is the bit where we get the sob story. I was feeling quite jaded with that bit as well, to be honest.
Yeah, Dave, look, I'm trying to word it correctly because I'm being completely insensitive. But it just felt too much. It felt like it was almost a pissing contest in who's had the most trauma in their life. And I'm not in for that. I get we've got to have something and we've got to have the violin music and that. But it was like everyone has their 2 minutes to tell her about.
Do we have to have it?
I don't want it.
First fucking date.
I know.
It's their first date. You don't air all your fucking grievances and tragedy in your life. Like I say, pull any random person off the street who's fucking over 30. Someone will have had something tragic or something happen to them in their lives. And so, different people will divulge that at different times. It's usually not the first date, I wouldn't have said. But it's like the show script demands it. This is the bit where you tell your sob story. And I guess, he knows he's going to have limited time with Michelle. And so you could almost say, well, is the onus on him? Does he think, well, this is the bit, I've seen this show plenty of times, this is the bit where I do it? Or is it the producers, and I think it is, saying, this is in our playbook, this is the bit where you tell your sub story. So make sure you have a good one lined up.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's exactly how it feels. I completely agree with you, Dave. I completely agree. And I think, yeah, I can't go any further than that. I think you're completely right. It's a really strange way of doing it. I mean, literally, some of the guys, I can see it coming. Well, I had a pet hamster once, and his name was Dave, and I had him for a year, and I gave him the wrong food, and he died. Oh my God, let's get the fact. Oh my God, that is terrible. Please, how did you get over this? I don't know. It was awful. It's fucking bullshit, honestly. It really is. Poor Dave. Not you, by the way. I just realised I said your name. I just fucking realised.
All of the hundreds of thousands of names.
Your name. And
I'm the dead fucking hamster.
Yeah, I didn't want to crush you, Dave, with my foot or anything, but that's genuine. I just realised I've used your name. But anyway, what a dick.
You know what? I have to say again, though, I just... I'm going through this episode, and like I said in the text message, it's why do I fucking watch this? And I saw like Charlene in the Facebook group said, I'm not watching this. So I don't particularly enjoy it when I'm watching it, and I just feel like I'm wasting my time. But by God, I do enjoy coming on and just fucking ripping it to pieces.
I mean, that's the best bit. It feels like when you eat your tea. And you're eating your tea that you don't like, and you're eating green beans and broccoli and everything. And at the end of it, you get a big fuck off chocolate cake with ice cream there, because I love this bit. This is absolutely for me. It's just the end of it. It's like the tonic to it. It's just perfect, because I just love just talking about it. Because we absolutely rip it, but we're doing it in our way, aren't we? So it's like we watching it. It's us who are watching it. It's not like we're being forced to watch it. I just love the interaction we have after it. I must admit, that's like the reward for just going through all this nonsense.
Yeah. Any other points, Chris?
No, nothing, Dave. Nothing. I just wanted to say a big thank you, as always, to all our friends on Facebook. As you mentioned, Charlene, Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. You've got to get over there, guys. Come and join us. You have to be accepted. We'll accept you in, and then just get the chat going. If you want to follow us on social media, at CD Reality Cast. And if you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. So, Dave, the roll call of honor today, my friend, is Michelle, Keith, Lucy, Helen, Brianna, Jacqueline, Noreen, Claire, Amy, Zoe, Joanna, Helen, Libby, Katie, Dee Dee, Hannah, Ed, Priscilla, Susan, Hennessy, Haley, Lauren, Lucky Lulu Green, and Ken Gustafson. So thank you so much, guys. We really, really appreciate it. And yeah, Dave, as we go into another weekend, I am going to contemplate why I'm going to watch episode 3 next week, but we will be back again.
We will. And we're caught up now, aren't we? We did that this week. We'll have our Maths Australia episode out probably at the weekend. And then we sort of promised to do Love Island Australia, didn't we? Like a couple of fucking bellends.
Yay!
So hopefully there's not too many more weeks of Maths left, because 3 seasons, we seem to keep doing this to ourselves.
Yeah, we do. And you told me we wouldn't be doing this because I'm the one who jumps in. I'll go, we'll do all of them. You're like, no, hang on a minute. And it's your fault, Dave. I'm blaming it all on you.
The 3.
It's not your fault. It's both of our faults. I'm still blaming it on you.
Well, I think I suggested, because quite a few people had come back and said, like, can you do the Bachelorette? And so I'd said, well, it's an episode a week, isn't it? And in isolation, yeah, it's an episode a week. Sort of forgot that Maths would still be going. So we should have had 2 in flight, if you like, at the time. But now we'll be caught up soon and then back down to 2.
We will. I think Maths has got another week to go, Dave.
Yeah. So only another 8 hours of watching.
Yay! Anyway, been great to speak to you, mate. You know I love it. Absolutely love it. You make sure you have a good weekend, and everyone else have a great weekend.
Cheers, mate. And thanks for listening, everyone. Bye now.
Bye.